I drink your milkshake.
You are listening to the Billionaire Podcast Network.
So you were saying for all intensive purposes.
Well, whatever the term is, all right? They'll try to roast me.
I'm not trying to roast you. I love it. I do that on purpose anyway. I love talking, wrong on purpose. So it just made me laugh because I think the expression is intense and purposes. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, I always fuck that up too, honestly.
yeah, the expression, I think, but it's a common mistake. Like, a lot of people think it's intensive purposes, and I say that anyway. But
I've been saying that my whole life, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you were saying for all intensive purposes, you're not in the military right now.
Yeah, let's just say that.
Okay.
We'll just go with that.
We'll leave it there. Those are the intensive purposes. But this is we're doing a little bonus here. This is a special edition. It's me, the first billionaire podcaster, coming at me, Dalton. And this is I guess a corn-fed bonus only on the Billionaire Podcast Network. Ka-ching, bing, 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 did fill her up. I'm joined by we got GI Chase in the mix. Chase, how you doing?
Great.
Chase is back, and then we got my boy, the real Dr. Drew, Drew Flores.
What's going on, guys?
From Drew Flores from Dorkport, youtube.com/Dorkport.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's that.
Yeah. I reached out to you, both of y'all. I know y'all just met y'all don't know each other, but y'all just met. But y'all are both two of the guys I'm closer to who are military boys. You have a history you've been in the military. You have a more intimate relationship with serving these United States of America. And I guess this is I'm approaching this more sincerely than a lot of other things I do, because I have genuinely been disturbed and moved by what Airman Aaron Bushnell did. What was it, like 6 days ago? I forget.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it's only been like maybe a week since, I'm sure everybody knows the story at this point. But he was 25. He was an airman, and in protest of the conflict between Israel and Palestine, the occupation of Palestine by Israel, he self-immolated in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. And the day that happened, I saw the uncensored video before it got taken down, and then the video that was going around after that was the censored one. And I have not been able to shake that. I was like, and the thing that really disturbed me was like a lot of people's reactions to it. This immediate reaction they had to dismiss this and start calling this guy names and castigating him for doing this, saying like, what a fucking idiot he's mentally ill. This is bad. I hate this guy. This is like the reaction that people had, and I wanted to know, like, because you guys have actually served. So, like, what has this done to you? Like, looking at this, like, what has y'all's reactions been?
Uh, I mean, it was weird. It was weird, but like when I was in, guys were killing themselves like a lot. I think like it was like 100 a year. It was getting up around there, 130, 150, something like that. So like in a lot of the instances, like there would be some protest stuff every now and then. And then I think that stuff would kind of get like hushed up. So for instance, when I was in, there was this guy that killed himself that was in my squadron. He was actually in my shop. Like I worked with him directly, like every day. And he was like a smart dude. He wasn't like a crazy dude. I think he could have been depressed. Like I think he had like a thing with a girl back home or something that was kind of going a little bit rocky, but he wasn't like depressed or, like manic or anything like that. But he ended up deploying, and he was like a very political dude too. And he ended up deploying and killing himself when he was in Afghanistan. And I remember when they did the report and everything, they said it was because of the girl back home. Like he was like brokenhearted or something. And later on, I remember his dad said that they were trying to cover up that it was like in protest about something in Afghanistan. So like that stuff kind of happens a lot. But this one's just weird because it's about this thing everybody's talking about on social media now. And
Yeah, and
I don't
he was
know.
able to live stream it on Twitch. So
And that's another thing about like any sort of protests. Um, you're not allowed to attend any sort of political movement in uniform. So the fact that he did it in uniform is kind of like a weird thing. Uh, but you said, Drew, you had said that you were in a squadron and shop. So whenever you mentioned that, you were you in the Marine Corps?
No, I was in the Air Force.
Okay. And what did you work on planes?
No, no. So I was kind of like a IT guy.
Oh, okay. Okay. Whenever
Yeah.
you said squadron, because I was in a squadron whenever I was in the Marine Corps too. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, he was also he was a cybersecurity guy apparently. Like he was I think he had moved. He was in San Antonio. He was living in San Antonio. So I guess he was at Lackland and was from what I was like looking up the news for this. The most recent article you can find on this is in Teen Vogue. Um and he was looking at options for how to get out of the military, like what he could do as a civilian, and then but his job in the Air Force was cybersecurity. He was like an IT guy, and then I guess I just became too like uncomfortable with what's going on in the Middle East. And I mean it's so hard to get a read on what's actually going on because there's so much, like the thing that like the news cycle now, everything is, you're bombarded with every bit of information and opinions and everything all at once. So it's hard to even know what's real, like what his background was and what his motivations were and what like radicalized him to do this. But like watching the Twitch stream, which I wonder if this, just that I'm thinking money here. I wonder if that made any money for Twitch. That
Yeah.
stream.
whenever you were
Um,
bringing that up, I started thinking, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I started thinking about whenever we were deployed, my job was to load bombs, and my buddy, so he's like really super religious. And I was asking him, I was like, what do you think, or what would you do if these bombs that we were loading were getting dropped in Israel? And he was like, I would sit down and I wouldn't load anything else. And I was like, really? And like I have seen like some people that are super, against like stuff like that, and throughout my service. So
Yeah. Yeah, Chase, what was your like what were your feelings? Just your actual honest feelings when you saw that you watched the video, right?
yeah, I did.
Yeah, like as a serviceman and you seem like having talked to you lately, like you have a level head on your shoulders. Like you're a pretty discerning, like thoughtful guy. So I'm like curious, like what were your feelings like when this happened?
I agree with the protest. The reason that he felt that way, and but I wonder like what he knows, and what you know sort of things, that information that he has in order to protest that extreme. Like if you're gonna kill yourself by lighting yourself on fire, it's like the most painful way to die. So
It looks like it sucks.
yeah,
Did they
absolutely.
say? I mean, I kind of assumed that he probably had to have one, but did they say if he had a like a SCI security clearance or anything like
He
that? Like a
had I don't know if he had like a top secret security clearance. I don't know what he had, but as like a cybersecurity guy, he did have some sort of security clearance. So
I
yeah,
think that job requires you to have a top secret.
yeah, it definitely seems like it. I mean, I had to have one just because I was an IT guy, just because I may have been stationed somewhere where I had to deal with sensitive information. I mean, I wasn't, but they still
Yeah,
paid for it anyways.
I had a secret whenever I was in the Marine Corps, and then in the Army, I have a top secret.
hell yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
my dad had a top secret at one point. It sounds more James Bondy than it really is. I
yeah,
mean, if they're giving top secret security clearances to guys like Drew,
yeah.
Yeah,
it's, you're not
it's not.
you're no 007, man.
There's definitely levels above top secret that
Yeah,
Yeah.
double secret, double top secret, triple.
super
Yeah,
extreme secret.
ultra top secret. Yeah, but he had a security clearance, and I think he did have access to some classified information that's the thing though, that's what I was saying earlier. It's hard to even know what's going on because like
Yeah.
you get all this information all at once, and there's already like fabrications being made that you have to like kind of like sift through. And but the stories I've heard is that he may or may not have like been leaking some information out that verified some sort of like secret operation in Gaza, like special
Yeah.
forces working in the tunnels in Gaza. Which I
Well, if
guess
they found out about anything like that, or him leaking any sort of information, then it does kind of make sense, because he's going to be screwed for the rest of his life anyways.
yeah, I mean if
Well,
you're planning on
that one guy just got 16 years. That other airman.
yeah, that National Guardsman who got honeypotted with the like the
Yeah,
most
that's so
obvious
funny.
honeypot messages I've ever seen. Like, oh honey, what is great President Joe Biden doing? What is he planning? It was like AI, like some Russian AI was sending him these messages. I read some, it was so funny.
There was one that was just straight up like, "You're my lover informant."
Yeah, you're my lover informant. Yeah, that guy. I mean, hey, look, who among us has not buckled at the knee for a little pussy? You know,
Goddamn.
has not disseminated sensitive information critical
No,
to national
Yeah.
security for some pussy.
I
Yeah, he
received
just
my
got
cyber awareness training, so I would never become an insider threat. So.
Yeah, no, Chase is locked in. He's married. He's a career man. He would never do that. But
No, of course not.
single guys like us, you know,
Damn.
yeah. If I was in the military and I started getting messages from a hot babe asking me for great leaders, great leader Joe Biden's goings ons, I might, you know, I might slide something her way for some pussy pictures.
Yeah,
Uh,
dude. I, I would have definitely gotten busted, I think, if
oh hell yeah, you
Instagram
would
was
have
a thing
busted.
while I was in.
You would have busted.
Yeah.
Busted
um,
something.
oh
Shit.
yeah, yeah. Apparently Bushnell. I mean, but it's like, look, if you're going to set yourself on fire in an act of protest against the American Empire, you might as might as well leak those documents. What do you know? They're not. What are they going to do to you? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the funny thing. I mean,
Did you
nothing.
hear that he was alive for a while afterwards?
So that yes,
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say is like when the story broke and the first still images were coming out of just like the picture of him on fire, they were saying like, you know, he's alive, he's in critical condition. We don't know, you know, as the story develops, we'll get more information. So they were making it seem like that he might pull through this. And then when the actual video dropped, I was like,
There was
there
no
was
way.
no fucking way he was gonna
No
survive
I
that.
way.
actually haven't watched the video yet.
It has like that the most disturbing thing aside from what happens in that video, it's like bothered me since I saw it. Like I keep
The
thinking about it.
cop?
The cop, yeah, but also we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
Also the way that you know, with it, with like every news story now, everything happens so fast. People just are so quick to move on from everything and like memory hole these big events. And the most disturbing thing to me is how quickly people are moving on. Like, you know, Sydney Sweeney hosted SNL, so it's like, well, big fat set of jugs, and we're already,
Yeah.
you know, we've already healed from the psychic trauma of this guy setting himself on fire. And that's like the thing that's been bothering me the most is like, man, you know, I've certainly in my life become very cynical about a lot of things and just like try to keep my head down and live my life. But then, like, every now and then something happens like this where I go, man, I hope this does something. Like, I hope this isn't something
Yeah.
that people just move on from because this is extreme. And it's like, what's that saying? Like, one death is a tragedy and a million deaths is a statistic. And it's like this is like that one death. This is like, okay, this is a guy who he's a serviceman. He's in uniform. He live streamed it, so it's there forever. For like, it's documented. We have to look at it. And this is like just an American man who is serving his country, who just like due to all the circumstances and forces at play of the American empire and the Israeli occupation, all that, he's just like actually pushed to the brink to do this. And it's like, it's not nothing. Like, I don't think, like, watching that video, that he seemed very deliberate. He seemed of as sound mind as possible as someone's gonna have who's about to set themselves on fire to kill themselves. Like, he seems like he knows what's up. Like, he's very like, as he's communicating, as he's talking to the camera, it's all making sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah. He
very
didn't sound like
lucid.
he was out of his mind at all. He sounded like
Yeah,
he was very, very cognitive and knew what was going on. So
yeah,
you can't say that he was like drugged out of his mind or anything like that.
yeah. So it's
And
like, as a form of protest, it's like, I believe that he actually was feeling something, like he actually felt so strongly about this. And like, there probably are some screws loose if you're going to take it to this length, but the screws are loosened by probably what's been going on just globally. And I mean, you know, also your own life maybe, but like, you know, if you, I think like the only sane response anyone can have when they see what's going on nowadays is to kind of go a little crazy. And then you either have to try and push those things out as much as you can so you can like focus on your own life, or you do actually just go, you know, all in on fighting for these things, which will ruin your life at best. At worst, you'll die. You'll end up dead. But if you actually care enough to go whole hog into like fighting for these people, you'll just ruin your life for sure. Um,
Did
but
you
that's
did you guys know if he was an officer or not? Because I
uh,
thought someone had said he was at the beginning.
I don't know. He was enlisted.
I don't
Okay.
think he was.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he was enlisted, and he was just he was cybersecurity.
You you know what kind of blows me away about it though is it's like think about like since October 8th, like how much money's been put into advertising, like not only on the internet but on television, like on all forms of media, to be like, look, what Hamas did to Israel was horrific, and that's why we have to go back there and get all these hostages back and do all this stuff, trying to get that message across. And then this one fucking dude who, set himself on fire just kind of like obliterated that. But it's going to be like our attention span that makes it not even as powerful as it should be. And I'm not like a guy that has like a strong opinion in this like war. I just my opinion is just like I hope it ends as soon as possible. Like I think that's like a sensible place to
Yeah,
come
I want to
from.
be able to eat McDonald's again.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
tired of having to boycott McDonald's and Pepsi and Starbucks.
But I think the fact that like he obliterated all that with just this one thing resulted in that extra push to kind of make him this mentally ill guy, because like now everything I read from people who know him like say no, he was like a very kind, intelligent person who like makes it seem like he was just like a very sympathetic, you know guy. I
Yeah,
don't know.
he was a he was 25, and he was very like community minded and politically active. Like the label that's like been put on him is anarchist, but from what I've read, I don't really know what that means at this point, because from what I've read, it was just like he just helped homeless people and wanted people to have more like liberties and comfort as American citizens. Like he just didn't want people to suffer as much as they are, and so I guess that makes him an anarchist. Like that's the thing, is there's all these like labels and buzzwords, and the spin that gets put on this is that he was a wackadoo. He was associated with socialism and anarchy and Antifa and all that. And from what I've read, it's like maybe he was associated with certain groups like that, but it also, I think, like a lot of people, especially like younger guys, like around our age and younger, who are just like more community minded these days, and will just want to see people like not suffering. If that's what an anarchist is, then
Yeah.
I am one, I suppose.
Yeah, damn.
Because I don't like, that's the thing, is like, he obviously, okay, so like any American civilian is to some degree complicit in what's going on over there, not by like even choosing to be, but just like you pay taxes, and somewhere along the way those tax dollars are funding this, like they're going to Israel. And so if you're not a Zionist, like if you don't agree with what Israel's doing, then you are kind of like constantly in this like moral battle in your mind where it's like, well, fuck, dude, like I have to pay these. I have to be an American citizen right now. I have to pay these taxes, but they're funding this war, and so like that creates like some uneasiness inside of you. And then so I think like to some degree more and more people are becoming aware of this, and you know like caring more than they otherwise would have, and like with other things going on. And then with like somebody like him, he cared a lot. So it is like a spectrum of how much you care these days. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how anybody could remain apathetic toward this, or just like keep trying to push it out, especially when you see like one of our own. I mean, because are like these are the guys. Chase, you and I have talked about this. If he walked into an Applebee's with that uniform on, he'd be getting 20 different thank you for your services and a 10% discount. These are the men that we always talk about we should do more for and protect and honor. And then we see one who's been pushed to the brink, who is struggling in this way morally. And then the media begins its spin. It begins vilifying him for having done this.
Well, I think a lot of America really doesn't view like service members like they used to. Um, and see being out here like in a more blue state, I see it more often. So like, they don't care about like if you're in your uniform. I mean, it's not like I want to go to Applebee's in my uniform, but like they don't care about that as much as they used to back whenever America was sort of fighting for something that was more honorable.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess like the sentiment in America usually has been either to not care about servicemen, or actually be antagonistic toward them, like you see in like First Blood, Rambo. Like actually
Mhm.
just actively hate them for what they're doing. But then not 9/11 kind of glued us together as a nation, and then like in the years following that, there was this more um camaraderie amongst American civilian and troop. And then that's sort of like diminished over the years to where now people are back to viewing America as the great Satan. And they just look upon everybody has this weird relationship with the military where it's like they look at what they're doing with contempt, but then also talk about how veterans don't like get what they need after serving. But it's like, well, you either like them or you don't. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand that. It's like if you see a homeless veteran on the street, he did do the thing that you claim to hate, but he did it from a sense of either honor, nobility, or poverty. He just needed money. But
Well,
those are
my
all
my thing is I don't understand with all of the programs that are going on now how so many veterans end up uh on the streets. I mean, it definitely relates to, PTSD and stuff like that, but there are a lot of programs in place to make sure that that doesn't happen.
yeah. I think it might be good. I've brushed with homelessness, having spent some time in psych wards. And just you see homeless people in any major metropolitan city. So I've talked to a few, and it's like, yeah, they're like really mentally ill. They're incapable of functioning in polite society, and they're not getting the actual treatment they need. And so they just it's not even there is a lack of actual treatment that's happening. But it does seem like if anyone's homeless, especially like a veteran, it probably is like due to some pretty extreme PTSD and mental illness that's causing this. um because yeah, I know like the VA doesn't have like a good track record, but I'm sure there are programs in place to
Yeah, I
try
mean,
and
everyone talks shit on the VA as a whole until they're getting a VA disability check, and then they're like,
Hell
oh
yeah,
well,
brother.
they're not too bad, you know.
yeah, hell yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
I've never talked shit on the VA.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
if
And
you're
hey,
able to.
I fully plan to take full advantage of that whenever whenever
Oh,
my time
Yeah,
comes.
get
But
that 100%, baby. Get that.
you've earned it, dude.
What is 100% now? Is what, like 5 or 6 grand a month?
Well, I think you don't want 100% because I think if you get 100%, you can't work.
you
That's
can get
true.
100% working though. You can get you can get it where you're as 100% and you're able to work, but it's just really tricky. You can't have anything like really crazy disability as
Can
far as
you
like
can you do podcasting?
Oh yeah, of course.
What if you're 1099 podcasting? Come at me.
I'm sure.
I'm a business owner now. Can I have my
Small
disability?
business.
Yeah. Podcasting is it's a 1099 job. I'm self-employed through 1099 Patreon.
Yeah. You reporting this on your taxes next year?
Probably not. I probably don't make enough right now to have to do that. But I've created multiple streams of revenue that all amount to still less than minimum wage, but they're there between YouTube, Patreon, and Twitter. I'm pulling in like, you know, 300-400 bucks a month.
That's great,
Hey, and then
dude.
you work you work on minimum wage job, and then you got a little bit more money, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
dude. That's almost as much as my disability check. So, hey, I know the feeling, dude.
Yeah, my actual day job would pay more if I was good at it. If I could actually
The sales.
yeah, if I could sell stuff, I'd be getting good commission. But I'm so bad at it that it's like, well, I guess base salary is good until the podcast takes off. I mean, I do.
They ran like a sort of pilot program in recruiting, and it was to like incentivize, you know, putting people in the military, and it was like you would get a certain amount of money, and they're like, "Oh, don't go, you know, like advertising that we're doing this, but you know, if you put this many people in, you know, you but it's so hard to even just do one person a month and keep up with that. You know, overproducing is not, you know, you'll get separated if you don't do one a month. So
Yeah,
it's
that's an
really,
odd sales job to go to try and convince high schoolers to fight for their country.
yeah,
It's like
Yeah, dude.
I
yeah.
got to meet the quota this month. I got to get another 17-year-old to enlist in the military.
Yeah, dude. I was like the dude, I was like the easiest recruit. Like I walked into the office myself and they were like, "Oh, you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Do you want to go as fast as possible?" I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Okay, we're gonna put you in this thing called Open General." And they explained it to me in a way that didn't sound that bad, but what it ended up being was like I didn't know what I was going to be doing for a job, and they were just going to have a sheet of paper with a list of jobs that were in need, and whatever one I qualified for, I could do that one. And yeah, and I guess it's like the worst thing. It's like the biggest trick or something like that. Is that true?
Well, the Navy has something very similar to that where you go in, they lowered their score requirements all the way down to a 10 on the ASVAB. So if you score that low between like 10 and
That's nuts.
31, if you score in those like that realm, then you just go in as like a undesignated sailor. And whenever I was on the boat, I saw a lot of those guys like scraping barnacles and painting rust and stuff like that. And I'm like, bro,
That's so funny,
there's
dude.
no fucking way I would do that for my whole career.
Damn.
That's like being an old school sailor,
Yeah,
dude.
that's
That's
a,
like the true experience, you
it's
know?
like being on the Black Pearl, like one of the extras in Pirates of the Caribbean. Damn, dude. Yeah, if that happened to me, I'd be like, man, I don't feel like I'm accelerating my life at all. The Godsmack commercial really got me, and this is some bullshit. They got me swabbing the poop deck.
Oh shit, dude.
I'm not.
That's so fucking funny, dude. Oh shit. Some guy scores a 10 on his ASVAB just scraping barnacles is the funniest thing.
You know.
Oh,
So, speaking of trauma, which can lead to mental illness. This is it. I did read something interesting about this guy. You doing a Zen, Chase? Or is that? Oh, that's gum. Okay.
No, it's cheese stick.
Oh, it's a cheese stick.
Yeah.
Nice. Little mozzarella.
oh yeah.
Dude, I love cheese sticks.
I got kids, man. I always have them.
Yeah, you got cheese sticks, you got orange slices, you got Capri Suns.
Fruit snacks.
Hell yeah.
Dude, I just go through them so quick.
I
I
can't
can't
wait to be a
justify it.
dad. I can't wait to be a dad so I can have snacks. I did read something interesting about this guy. I need to actually read more on this. I guess if I'm gonna do shit like this, I should be more studied. But we'll talk some shit. We'll just pull some shit out of our asses. But I did read something interesting about this Bushnell guy. So he grew up in a cult. There is a like Christian cult in Cape Cod called the Community of Jesus, and it's like the Church of the Transfiguration. And I was like reading, I was like looking into it briefly before this, and I was like reading some Reddit posts about it. They even go back years before this, and everybody agrees that this is like an extreme Christian cult. That it's like extremely oppressive and abusive to children, and it's like everybody that has interacted with or been a part of it and gotten out that talks about it is like that is 100% a cult, and it's like ruined my life having grown up in that. So his origins do begin with this like extreme trauma of growing up in this like repressive Christian religious like cult environment, which I think anybody that grows up like repressed in that way, if they do manage to get out, they do swing way in the other direction usually. Like
Yeah.
to try and find like some semblance of yourself and liberate yourself from the mental shackles that have been locked on you from growing up that way. I could see how you would start getting involved in anarchist organizations and becoming sort of like radicalized in that way. So but also I do think that having that foundation is probably like can be attributed to his resolve in actually going through with this, because like that's the thing that so many people are having trouble wrapping their heads around, is how could you care about anything enough to in a form of protest in your own life? Because even if it's like even if this works, you're not going to be around to you know experience any of the results. You're not here anymore, so it's like an act of total faith that this is going to move the needle at all. And so
Yep.
I think a lot of people, it's like breaking so many people's brains because they can't possibly conceive of being that righteous.
Well,
Yeah,
did
I
you
don't think there's anything that would push me there. So I think that's why everyone's brain immediately goes to that he had to have some sort of mental illness, is because no one has ever, I mean, no one really feels like that. I mean, and that they're gonna need to kill themselves to prove any sort of point.
I
Right.
think that I think like Islam and all, well, not Islam, that's fucked up, but like all these groups that are connected with Hamas, I think they're all gonna keep this guy's they're gonna immortalize him, I think. Because like, did you read the stuff? I just went through the Wikipedia today because I was like, all right, it's been enough days. People have put shit on there. But I went through Wikipedia and they were showing like the response from like all the terrorist organizations down there or whatever you want to call them. And like they were all calling him like a martyr. They were saying that it was like the highest sacrifice that one can make for the cause, which I don't know. I don't know if it's like a jihad or like, what, but I think they'll like immortalize him. I think that he'll have like that at least, but I don't really see it doing anything like and I think it's gonna embolden the people who already feel that, like who are already on that side, but I don't think it's gonna like sway. I don't think it has the power to sway anybody because we're just so we
No,
can't be swayed anymore. I don't think you
It
just kind of
kind of
fall into something.
it kind of
You
got
you, you have
me. It kind of it emboldened me a little bit more, made me care more. Like I already cared. Like I was already
Yeah, that's
seeing everything that was happening that's been coming out of that region, like all this footage, and just being constantly just like mentally I don't know, tortured by all of this because the constant back and forth conversation that's had is like, all right, well, what Israel is doing is fucked up, but then the question that's always asked is like, but do you condemn Hamas? And it's like, well, I mean, obviously, I don't support any terrorist organization, but I do understand the what's at play here, like what leads to something like Hamas even existing. It's not like they just like are formed out of the ether for no reason. This is like years of oppression and torture and bloodshed and destruction that Hamas is a response to. In the same way that like Al Qaeda or whatever it was called at the time of 9/11, that like 9/11 was a response to the shit that we've been pulling, you know, and that's where
yeah.
and so like all of these, like on a long enough timeline, you see how these things happen, like how these radical groups form, why they start to exist and do what they do, and how it does like at some point affect us. Like that's the thing that gets me is how people say you see it online where it's like that soy jack meme, the angry guy who's like, you will care about a conflict thousands of miles away that has nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the like people say that where it's like this doesn't even have anything to do with you. And I'm like, buddy, at some point it's going to. Like it's not
Yeah.
affecting your material existence in the short term right now. But you like to some degree we are all complicit in this. And it is affecting us. And some of us it's affecting to the point where they're already catching themselves on fire in response
Yeah.
to it. Like, that's the thing is like if you care, if something is affecting you even mentally to the point where it's bothering you in any way, well then it does affect you. And if it's bothering you enough that you're gonna torture yourself, then yeah, I mean it's affecting people. And he's not the only one that did that. There was another lady that did this in Atlanta a while ago, but she was never identified. And I think she's still alive. But
Yeah, that's a weird one because I didn't even hear about that until today when I was reading.
yeah, it was a black lady. That's the thing. That's probably
Oh,
I don't or
I
I
mean,
don't
did it
know.
have
I
to
don't
do with the
know.
same thing?
I don't know what. I honestly I don't know anything about her. She's unidentified. There's not a lot of information out about that one. And I guess like where she went wrong is she didn't live stream it on Twitch. You just gotta make sure that you
Yeah.
press record so people
You
actually
gotta make
pay.
sure people see it.
Yeah, because I will say, like this, the psyops. There's always psyops. Radical forms of protest like this that do expose what what the American empire is and all these like world governments and wars and like how they're affecting people. That a radical protest like that, if they can, they will do everything they can to sweep that under the rug. They don't want people like seeing people actually caring that much. They're fine with us, yeah, go ahead and boycott McDonald's, do all the like aesthetic protesting that you want. The very the influencer social media form of protesting. That's fine because that's still lining our pockets. That's all business for us. But then anyone who actually does take action in any real way, they don't want to, yeah, they don't want us to ever know about that, and and if we do know about it, they want it to be vilified. Like he Bushnell
Yeah.
Bushnell had the same job as Snowden basically, and look at Snowden also in a radical act of protest exposed what the American government was doing to its own people, and now he is like persona non grata. Like he has to live in on the lam, I guess, forever in Russia or whatever he's doing now. And people still talk about him like he's a villain. But it's like, I mean, is it really villainous to let the American people know, like, hey, by the way, your homes are bugged by the government. The government is listening to you. Um,
Damn.
yeah. It's like And so I get, I guess if you do want to stay sane, a good option is to bury your head in the sand. But like at this point, it's like, how could like I just don't know how you could at this point. If people are like killing themselves over things like this, and you're seeing like children starve to death and get run over by tanks and all that, it's like, it feels silly to. There is a part of me that feels silly to care so much about something that I can like literally do nothing about, that I'm just like, I'm power. I guess like that's the disheartening thing, and that's where you do start to feel like, why do I even care about this as much? Because
You start
you're so
start feeling that
powerless.
you're so insignificant that you can't make any sort of difference with anything that's going on over there for sure.
Yeah, you just feel powerless, and it's like in that powerlessness, like even I think like somebody like Bushnell felt that and was like, well, fuck, there's like. I think he came to some realization where he said, "Well, there's literally nothing I can do to really help. Like I can't like change what's happening. The forces that are at play no matter what." So I guess he just was like, the best I can do is maybe reach into the hearts and minds of anyone who like sees this act of protest, and that I'm willing to just like sacrifice my life for like the what I care about. I don't, to me there is like some sense of honor and nobility in that. As fucked up as it is, like to publicly kill yourself. But the idea of mental illness in this regard, as it pertains to like a protest like this, does seem like a very Western idea. Here in the West, we're obsessed with mental illness. Everybody's on pills. Everybody's fucked up. But if this,
Well, what was even like the argument for his mental illness was that he grew up in a cult and he killed himself, right? That's like the two things that I think they like focused on. But it's like, I mean, not every person who kills themselves is mentally ill. You know what I mean? You can't just say like, oh, this person killed themselves, they're mentally ill. I think there are plenty of people who kill themselves for reasons like we wouldn't say that a person who killed themselves because they were like and a lot of physical pain was mentally ill, but also it's like we can't say that we can't discredit this guy's form of like protest or whatever you want to call it as just mental illness because of how fucking crazy it was.
yeah,
Not to use the word crazy in my defense that he wasn't mentally ill, but you know what I mean.
radical.
Radical.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Chase, Chase, you have the most recent experience with anything to do with the military. Like, what do you think? Thoughts?
Um, I don't. I really don't know. I mean, like I had said at the beginning, like I do agree with like his standpoint on the entire issue. I think it's pretty bullshit. Um, but I don't like you were saying. I feel like so insignificant in the like I can't do anything about it. Like there's nothing for me to do. And plus I'm not like right now I'm currently not deploying, so I'm gonna move here soon and maybe then I'll have the opportunity, but yeah, right now it's just really weird.
I mean, what
That's a good way
really
to
are
put
you
it. It
supposed to
is
do,
really weird.
just what are you supposed to do though besides like, vote and within like a sensible range, what are you supposed to do? You vote, right? And you vote.
I've thought about this, like, because that is the question. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, what can you do? And I like these days, I feel like at the very least, the only thing anyone really can do is at least care. You know
Is
what I
it
mean?
so if money wasn't an object or anything, would you guys go over there, form sort of militia and do some sort of activist type thing
Like
on your
form like
own.
a paramilitary group in Gaza.
Yeah, I'm
PMC.
saying if money wasn't an object and you had, the social media presence of enough people.
Yeah. Like if I was Mr. Beast, I'd be like, I'm in Gaza and I'm here to liberate Palestine from the Israeli occupation.
Yeah,
I'm Mr.
exactly.
Beast and I've liberated
I've-
Palestine.
I'm Mr. Beast, and I've started a private military organization.
I'm Mr. Beast. I've dismantled
Mr.
Hamas and I've formed my own paramilitary organization in Palestine. We're going to liberate Palestinians from the Israeli occupation.
Yeah, dude, Mr. Beast Boss.
Yeah, Mr. Beast Moss. Yeah, I guess if I was
Shit.
Mr. Beast, I would do that. I would turn it into content. I would at least make some money on it.
God damn.
I mean, I feel like that's the only thing that you really could do. I mean, aside from like all of, normal shit,
Yeah.
voting or, letting your opinion be known, there's not a lot to do.
Yeah, there's really nothing anyone can do. You see the news every day and you go, oh shit, man, what are you gonna do? Especially like with somebody like you, Chase, like me and Drew, me especially, like we have just like a lot of time on our hands. We ain't got shit, we don't
Yeah.
have lives, but which usually coincides with being like politically minded and like active in any way is the fact that you just don't have a life. So you're like, all right, my own sense of emptiness and lack of meaning in my life, I will now project onto activism so that I now feel that I have a purpose. But Chase, you have like you have like a family and a mortgage and all that. So it's like there's only so much bandwidth you have to really expend on anything like this. So that
Yeah,
makes sense to
I'm
me.
trying to do as much upgrades so I can sell this fucking house. That's what I'm really concerned with right now.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that
dude.
that mentality, like that makes sense to me. Like if you just have like an actual life where it's like I
Yeah.
like truly just can't expend too much energy on this because I just have so many things going on in my own life where it's like I care, but also there's nothing I can do, and we gotta repair the deck, so that I get that. So I guess like
Shit.
on any sort of material level, like talking about like what anyone can do, I just the thing that like the feeling that I go back to the most, like after seeing this guy cook himself. Hold up, let him cook. After seeing him,
You saw that meme?
was that? Oh, I'm sure that I didn't. There were so many memes. I made a few. I mean that's also that's also where my mind goes immediately though. Before I start to give a shit about anything, I'm like, all right, it's time to make some memes. We gotta get the memes out, and then we'll talk sincerely about this.
The internet really was like, oh, finally some good fucking content to make a
Oh,
1,000 fucking memes about.
yeah. I mean, there's no way to avoid that's just gonna happen. It's like
Yeah.
people are so desensitized now because of what the internet is. Like the way people's minds work is like any bad thing that happens is like immediately it's time to do some memes. It's time to make some jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
How can
like
I make content out of this?
the window between tragedy and comedy now is completely closed. It used to like after 9/11
I
people
really I really thought that the same thing. I was like, dude, there was not any fucking time before all this shit came out on the internet. I was like, bro, like the dude killed himself. Give it like a couple days,
it was immediate, dude. As the story was developing, people were
Yeah.
doing yeah. It would be like if the second tower was still up, that people were doing jokes about the first tower. that would be
That would not
Yeah.
happen. But
yeah.
yes,
People were already doing like, well, is he gonna find another wife eventually? He's like shit like
God
that.
damn, dude.
And
Yeah.
then the
TikTok
second
would have
tower
been
goes
so
down, and
good
it's
in
like, oh, I guess
2001.
yeah, the second tower goes down. It's like, well, I guess he couldn't handle the heartbreak. He had to end it all. Stuff like that. Those kinds. Like if people were just like doing 9/11 jokes as the news was airing, would be is like what this is now.
yep.
Um, but yeah, because like at that like pre-social media, there was more reverence for tragedy, and now we're also irony poison. It's like we actually see it. We're like, oh, this is gonna be good. This is good for the content mill. That's why that is like one of the motivations I had for just like wanting to actually try and talk about this more sincerely, because it's like hey, it's fun to crack wise every now and then, but it's like, man, dude, a guy set himself on fire, you know,
Yeah.
for a reason. He had a reason to do so, because there's, as of right now, the estimate is like 30,000 Palestinians have been slaughtered. Trying to get these hostages that may or may not exist. Like, I don't even know what's going on at this point. They keep saying that
You know,
release the
Yeah,
hostages. I'm like, do the
that's
hostages
that's
exist?
that's what's so
you know,
confusing to me. It's like there's no coverage about it or anything like, and I feel like even if there was, the news would not be accurate.
have you guys noticed that there's like an article like each week that it focuses in on like were they raped or not? Have you guys
Oh
seen this?
yeah. Well, because
Like
when Hamas initially attacked on October 7th, the first reporting that was coming out of the New York Times was talking about these like heinous acts of gang rape and cooking babies and all this stuff. And then like come to find out, there was nobody that could verify any of this information. There was no real evidence. There was no fact checking. That like it was just like pulled out of the ether that these things were happening. There was no real journalism that was done. So that now the eternal question is like, are these things actually, did they happen? Are they happening? Are there rapes happening or not? Because it began with like journalistic fraud essentially. So I maybe there might be, Hamas might be raping. I don't know.
And
I
pillaging.
mean
And pillaging. They go hand in hand.
my thing is just like, all right, like it's like, haven't we like all kind of like assumed that that probably happened? I mean, it probably did happen. And I don't mean that like in a insensitive way. What I mean, it's like this was like a horrific kind of like act of, I don't know, like, I mean, I guess terrorism, also war at this
Resistance,
point.
terrorism. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's like most definitely. Why are we like harping specifically on whether or not like, I don't know. It just seems weird to me that it's just always, it keeps on popping up, and it's like, I mean, yeah, it's a war, it's a war zone, or it was a war zone at that point, you know.
Right. Yeah. All's fair in love and war, including rape, especially in love. When you love a woman so much, you force yourself upon her sexually.
I've never experienced that, but it's good
Yeah.
to know that you've had that.
It's like, bitch, I love you so much, I might kill you. I know, I've never had that. I did recently send I talked about this on a couple other podcasts, but I did send a couple ladies videos of me ejaculating.
Really? Like
Yeah,
for
yeah,
You know, I've only done that
like,
twice in my life, and I will never, like, even if I was ever single again, I would never do it again.
yeah, it feels weird because you're just like
yeah.
you're waiting for some response. Like,
Yeah.
please, I just hope, if anything, I just hope
Oh,
this is above board. Like, I hope I have
yo,
enough.
Wait, what was it
I have a
requested,
crazy.
or was it spontaneous?
Uh, I asked, like, if these were like girls, like OnlyFans girls I'm friends with, and each one had posted something about cum shot videos, and I DM'd both of them and was like, "Hey, I got like 3 recorded. You want one?"
These were pre-recorded.
Yeah,
My
yeah, yeah.
one
I
of
can't.
my
That's tight, dude.
Yeah.
One of my exes had asked me to do that one time, and I was actually on a detachment in Yuma, Arizona, and I left my computer open, and my fucking friends, apparently, my friends at the time, went and found it, and they're like, "What the fuck, dude?" And I was like, "She asked me to do it. Come on."
They saw, yeah,
Like,
they saw you busting a nut.
yeah, with my shower shoes on.
Oh, nice.
That's
You
so funny, dude. They were in the shot, and that's so
Yeah,
funny.
they were.
so you were standing in the shower doing it?
Yeah, yeah, it sure
Nice.
was. Holding my phone like this.
Oh
Nice.
damn, dude! I
What
remember
I
shower
don't
shoes.
what I don't understand is the meme online, like what a lot of women say is, send me a cum shot video with the sound on, and I'm like, the sound, like, fine, but it doesn't sound good.
No.
Yeah,
I'm like
it's
wheezing.
silence.
I'm doing like Tony Soprano breathing, and then I bust, and then I'm like, whew, well, how's it? Yeah, there you go. That's my semen on my belly.
I've
Yeah,
Yeah.
seen.
dude.
I hope you like that. Yeah. And I don't have a big penis either. That's another thing. So
Yeah, did you get
this
some like good angles though?
no, the worst angle possible, like top down, where you just see like a dickhead poking up and down out of my hand. You
You have
just
to put the phone, you have to lay down and put the phone down by your knees and hold it with your knees while you're doing it. That's the best
oh,
Damn,
angle.
dude.
I might try that.
Yeah,
That's
that's on
that's
Spielberg level.
yeah, this is my radical act of resistance, is filming myself ejaculating.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody could ever wrap their heads around why a guy like me would even do that.
You
In the
should send
final
that
shot, it's just you like
I
yeah, you should
should
send that video to the Israeli embassy.
Yeah, I should record a video where I'm like, my name is Dalton Pruitt. I've grown my unrest with the situation between Israel and Palestine grows day by day. I cannot sit idly by and witness these atrocities continuing to occur. And then what I'm about to do is a radical act of protest. And then I jerk off, and I come, and as I'm coming I go, "Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
yeah,
Free Palestine!"
yeah.
Dude, you
And
have
then
to do that.
Yeah.
you add some flames around your dick in post.
Yeah, I'm coming fire. Free Palestine. Somebody pulls a gun on me.
Yeah, let's go over to the gun situation. What the
Oh yeah,
hell?
so that was the fun. That was like funny and also just so disheartening. But and it was fortunately it was not another example of incompetence by like American police or military. I think that was like a guard for the Israeli embassy. That was like an Israeli guy.
Hmm.
But man, what just another it is another example of how stupid and incompetent anyone Israeli like the Israeli fighting force is. They do not know what they're doing. They are so bad at their jobs.
Dude's literally burning to death, and you're pointing a gun at him. Like, what's he
Wait,
gonna
wait,
do?
but it was in Israel, right?
No, it was in DC.
It was in
Oh,
DC
never
at
mind.
the Israeli embassy. So the
Oh, okay.
guard the guard was Israeli, and then because you can hear the either an American police officer or an EMT or somebody say, like, I don't need a fucking gun, I need a fire extinguisher.
Yeah,
Like they're
yeah,
Yeah.
frustrated with this guy.
yeah.
Well, the Israeli guy, like if he was Israeli, it probably is used to like stuff like that being shouted, and then I don't know, either like a bomb going off or like a car ramming into
That's
something or
fair.
something like that.
I mean,
It-
look, I think with most people, when your adrenaline's pumping and you're in a confusing situation, you might do some things that don't make sense. If you're a trained guard, like official, like presumably he's been trained to do this job, to be like a top tier guard or policeman or whatever that
Yeah, because think about in America to be to guard an embassy or what you have to go through.
yeah. So the fact that he is still like making that kind of like impulse, this like move where he's going to pull his gun on a like what is essentially a corpse at this point, it like the optics of it are so just so bad. It's so embarrassing for them, and
Yeah.
it's really troubling. It's like really disturbing for us to see that it's like, oh, this is your response to a man like a corpse on fire is to pull a gun on him. It's like,
Wait, but I didn't see the video. Did he like keep his gun on him the entire
The
time,
whole
or?
time.
yeah, he pulled
The
it.
whole
Okay, all
fucking
right.
time.
I thought he just kind of like drew it and then saw the situation and then went like that, but
No,
I haven't seen it.
he's
So
like sidestepping around the guy like the whole time while this dude's got a fire extinguisher putting him out.
Yeah, like he's fucking
oh
Gordon
shit.
Freeman. Like this thing's gonna like pop back up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen movies about this shit. They come back to life.
yeah,
Okay, that changes it then for me.
yeah. It was really, and I mean, and especially like considering all the footage we've seen of the IDF, like their military, and just how dumb and incompetent they are. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this bonus episode between myself, the real Dr. Drew, and GI Chase. This is the end of part one. Part two is going to be over on the Patreon, patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. We got a $5 tier, $10, $15, and then as always, the $25 tier, which that's the best one. That's the one that gets you the Fraternal Order of Corn-Fed decal after 3 months. So it is effectively $75 for a sticker, but you'll be supporting the show in a big way. And you could when you get the sticker, you put that on your back windshield, and it might help you get out of a ticket. And to sweeten the pot, as soon as you sign up for that tier, you are welcome to send me a list of your enemies, and I will call for a jihad upon them on the show. And then once you get the sticker, you can just be on the show. So it's a good deal. It's Patreon. At least sign up for the $5. If you can't swing the 25, the 15, or the 10, go for the 5. We don't do a dollar tier like lesser podcasts out there. I ain't doing that. I believe in my product, and I say you get what you pay for. So if you're paying $1 for a podcast, you're going to get $1 worth of podcasting. I do at least $5 worth of podcasting with my Patreon. So that's patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. And I know that this has been a more sincere conversation, a more subdued and thoughtful discussion on something that happened, and I've been criticized by people about this topic already when I've spake on it here and there in other places. Um, but I don't respect uh anyone who says anything negative about me, and I don't value any feedback that is given to me. But in all seriousness, I do care about things. I care about the goings ons in the world, and there's certain things that just kind of strike me, that get to me, and sometimes I want to actually talk about those things in a more meaningful way. And then we still riff and do japes and jabs here and there, but um I'm a man of many. I'm a man of multitudes. I'm complex. But anyway, that all that's to say, this is the end of part one, and then part two of this discussion is going to be over on the patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. All right, thank you. I love you.